move to our final segment of the show. We're going to talk about a little game we call fill in the blank. I'm going to give the panel a statement, and they're going to fill in the blank for me. Let's start out with the first statement I put together. This one is, seeing the men's basketball team in action was John King. Go ahead and fill in the blank.
Electric. It was so nice to have a Weber State sporting event back on TV. And, if it was Weber, I know we don't have one of these teams, but if it was Weber State cricket, I would have been locked in. So it was just so good, in this 2020 worst year in the history of my life, just to have that bright spot on TV, how, even though the feed was rough, just being able to see just a little bit of purple and white going up and down the court was really, really nice.
Definitely. AC, seeing the men's basketball team in action was
perfect. Seeing our boys in purple in the Purple Palace, it looked so crisp. And then we see Isaiah Brown in his first game go for career high. This is a 4-year starter going for his career high. Like, I'm so stoked for this season. I can't wait to see where this team goes. And Isaiah Brown, we were talking about his ceiling. I think by transferring to Weber State, his ceiling got raised. Like, I think this guy's just going to go off this season, and seeing him do that in the first game at the Purple Palace, oh my goodness. It's going to be so great watching these guys this season.
I just realized that Isaiah Brown has played his entire college career in purple and white. Sean Lewis, seeing the men's basketball team in action was?
Don't take this the wrong way, but it was melancholy. And this is why my happy place is in my season ticket seats at the Purple Palace, and seeing the guys play at home and me not being able to be in arena was very sad for me. I once went more than 10 seasons without missing a home game. So it is just sad for me that I wasn't able to be there. But like the other guys, so happy to see a Weber State sporting event and to get a W. Many times after men's basketball and football games, I'll tweet out great, great, great after a win. And it was so good to tweet out great, great, great last week for the first time in months. So melancholy is probably the wrong word. Bittersweet maybe is a better word for it. Just sad that I wasn't able to be there in person. I only live a couple minutes away from campus, and having them so close but yet so far away was definitely a struggle for me, and will be a struggle throughout the season.
All right, folks, so we'll go to one more statement here and get your takes. The women's basketball team is John King.
They're a work in progress. I mean, we knew going into the season that there was some work to be done, and I don't think that you can judge this team much like the men's team. I don't think that you can judge this team until we get into conference play. I mean, I know that people are going to look at they're going to look at the loss to Texas A&M International, and they're going to freak out because it's like, okay, well, they're a Division II team. We shouldn't be losing to Division II teams. I don't look at it that way. I think that you'll be able to make your judgments at the towards the middle of the conference slate, just because we know that those teams are going to be the teams who you're competing for Big Sky Conference championships, and also they're around the same level, the same skill level of your team. So can you go out in those games, keep them close, and then win and then even win a couple to kind of start to turn the tide with that program, so we can get to be one of those top teams in the conference.
Momentum, I think, is really important for the ladies. AC, the women's basketball team is
still developing. Still developing. So I was hoping to see a little bit more progress after 2 games. It is only 2 games. I understand this. We're missing Emma Torbert. I understand this. But to go into Grand Canyon and see us have 27 turnovers in the first game with a true point guard too, which is something this coaching staff was excited about, because last year we had a couple players who play primarily off the ball as our primary ball handlers. And this year we've got Aloma back, and we still had a ton of turnovers. And then we followed that up by losing at home to a Division II team. It's disappointing. I don't think all hope is lost. We do have Emma Torbert coming back. I shouldn't say coming back. She's sitting because of NCAA transfer rules. So she'll be she'll be playing against Pacific, which I believe is not our next game, but the one after that.
Tuesday,
I'm hoping
December
that
15th.
that's right. That's right. And so, and that's a home game.
It is.
So when we get her back, I'm really hoping that it'll open things up for us. I think our front court is a little bit thin right now. We've got Jaden Matthews, we've got Dominique Williams, and behind those two, we really don't have a lot of players that the coaching staff feels comfortable playing with. And so getting Emma Torbert back, who was a 4-star player out of high school, she's kind of this super transfer that we're looking forward to. I think that she's going to be a little bit of a game changer for us. But after 2 games, the women's basketball team is disappointing, is how I would complete the sentence.
And finally, last word, Sean Lewis. The women's basketball team is?
I feel like I need a thesaurus for everybody being the same thing, but I'm going to say hopeful because we previewed them. We've talked to Coach V. I don't think this is the team that we expected. I think they've got lots of room to grow, and I'm not going to bury them after 2 games. So I'm hopeful that they're going to finish where we thought they would, and we said a successful season would be about 500 in middle of the road in the Big Sky Conference, and that's still all on the table or more. So I think this team is hopeful. It's incomplete, but I'm not going to bury them. They've got room to grow, and that's what you play. You play the games for the entire season. We can't make rash judgments after 2 games. So.